We're back. Wow, look at that. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm about to say these words. Welcome to another episode of Messi Co. I am Ashley here, as always, with my amazing co-host, not just my co-host, my amazing, my perfect, my beautiful co-host, Gian. Gian, how are you?
Hey, I am doing great. So happy to be back. So happy to talk Inter. So happy to see you. So happy to get this episode out to all of our followers, our fans, Inter Miami fans. And I'm just super excited, man. It's been like so long. I had the itch to talk Inter Miami. So this is great. It feels awesome. It feels like we never left. It feels great.
Feels like we never left. I know, we were not going to talk about it too much because we have more important things to talk about. But obviously, we had a little bit of an extended absence. Without getting into too much detail, I had a little bit of a medical scare. We had a little bit of some things, some traveling, some stuff kind of outside of the control. And obviously, it kind of coincided with Messi being out, there being a lot of international breaks and stuff like that. So yeah, we couldn't get back here, but we are now. And luckily everything's good. And we are so excited to be back to finish out the season. What's going to be a really, really interesting and exciting, hopefully, end of the season with a lot to talk about. And so, this isn't the preview episode yet. We're going to do one later in the week for the game on Saturday where we expect, no spoiler, Messi's going to be back for. But before we talk about that, wow, there's a lot to catch up on, right? So I don't even know where to start. Where do you want to start, Gian? I'll let you cook.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff to go back. So I guess let's go through some of the things we probably maybe have missed over the last week or two and kind of talk about. So I think the first thing for me is just seeing that Luis Suarez is just continues to do amazing for Inter Miami. As Messi's been missing some games, is just, I mean, on top form. And on top of that, he played his last game for Uruguay. And I thought that was really cool, I think, for him to end his career, I think, on a high note, because there's some players I think that sometimes maybe go too much to the end, and maybe they're dropping off and everything. I feel like he was still almost like top form. And I think it was just a beautiful way to say bye to Uruguay, the top goal scorer for Uruguay, 69 goals, 17 years, 143 matches. Like, he is a legend for Uruguay. He's becoming a legend very quickly for Inter Miami. And it was just, unfortunately, they didn't get the win. But I think that it was just well done, beautifully done, perfect timing for him. And now he's going to be able to, I think, just put all his efforts towards Inter Miami and getting them to win the Supporters Shield, getting them through MLS Cup playoffs, hopefully a title for him. But I think it begs the question, and maybe that's something we can quickly discuss here. Do we think that Suarez is going to continue with Inter Miami? Is he going to play another season? That's going to be something interesting as we move along, because he didn't announce his retirement from the sport. He announced his retirement from the national team. And some people were saying because of his health and those sorts of things. But hey, he's looked pretty good on the field. So I don't know. I think he can give it another year, at least another season with Inter Miami.
Yeah, I mean, to start with, just, for Uruguay, he was, there's a lot of things people have said about Luis Suarez over his career, the ups and the downs. But one thing that has never been questioned is his passion for the game, and more importantly, his passion for his country. And, thinking one of my earliest World Cup memories of my whole life is obviously the handball blocking the goal against Ghana. And then I think Ghana, right? Yeah. And obviously what got him the red card, but ended with Ghana missing the penalty and then making it to the next round. That was an iconic moment. And just, I think, is like such a good example of Luis Suarez, someone who just cares so deeply for his teammates, for his country, for winning, all those things. And so I'm glad he got to end his international career on his terms and have a great goodbye.
Yeah.
with his teammates and with his country, and really great video messages, including obviously one from Messi, which was really cool to see. But to your other question, your other point about him playing for Inter Miami, and does this mean the end of his career? Right now, he's third in the Golden Boot race in MLS, which is crazy if you
Yeah.
really think about it. I mean, it shouldn't be crazy, especially knowing how much he scored last year in the Brazilian league. But still, I mean, if Messi was healthy all season, would that number be as high? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But he is, especially these last, let's say, like 6 weeks, he is just automatic for Inter Miami. And I'd say even he's probably missed chances that he would, if you gave him 2 or 3 tries, he'd hit them almost, he'd hit them 90% out of 100. So he probably could have even more goals.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he's playing in great form right now, scoring machine. Inter Miami, which we're going to talk about the team as a whole in a little bit. Just playing great striker, playing great in the league. I don't think this is going to be his last season. I think he's going to play at least one more for Inter Miami. And I think part of the reason for this retirement internationally was because I think he wants to finish career on his terms as well, and, be able to focus and kind of try and, I don't know, break every record or get as much as he can out of this Inter Miami team where, look, without the greatest player of all time, this Inter Miami team is not only first in the East, they're first in all of MLS. They're hopefully going to win the Supporters Shield, probably odds-on favorite for the MLS Cup, and not even the team at full strength. So knowing there's so much more that he can do, I think he'll give it another year to kind of finish it all out.
Yeah. And what you said, on his own terms, I mean, he literally said, I have no regrets. There's no better pride in oneself than knowing when the right moment to retire is. And luckily, I'm confident that I'm retiring from the national team because I want to take a step aside. So he made it very clear that he's the one taking the decision. He wasn't pushed out of the team. And it's just it's wisdom. It's knowing when is the best time, go out on a high note, and he did it best. And I guess we can kind of end this part of it with what Messi said, which is, I think, very important, because Messi is obviously one of his best friends. Messi's one of his biggest supporters. They've both been the top guys on their national teams, and Messi told him, I wanted to be present and record this video on such a meaningful day for you, your family, for the people of Uruguay, and for the football fans in general, because of who you are and everything you've given to your national team and country. I was lucky to be by your side, and I know how hard it is to make this decision because I know how playing for your national team means to you. So Messi with a heartfelt message for his best buddy on the day that he leaves Uruguay. And that begs the question also, which is an entire other episode maybe we'll do one day, but when is it Messi's turn? So, but in the meantime, just congratulations to Suarez and everything that he's been able to accomplish. Congratulations to the Uruguay fans and everything you guys have accomplished alongside supporting Suarez. And now it's all on Inter Miami. So that's, I think it's exciting for us as we move along. So we mentioned Messi.
Have we?
This is the name of the show, Messi and Co. So
Yeah, that's right.
We mentioned Messi, and it's been a while since Messi played. This Inter Miami team has been rolling, doing amazing, still keeping at the top of the Supporters Shield standings. But we've seen now, finally, pictures of him training with the team. We knew he had been behind closed doors with the training staff and, rehab and all that sort of thing. But it was great to finally see pictures of him on the field, which gives us the confidence to be like, he's going to play, especially when he knows he's most needed. We need to finish this out. I mean, it's in Inter Miami's hands right now. If they win out, or they have actually a little bit of leeway, I think they're first by at least like 10 points or something like that. They currently have how many points? 59. Then in the East, they've got Cincinnati with 51 and Columbus right behind with 49. And then in the West, you've got LA with 52 and LAFC with 48. So they've got a nice lead. But hey, how great does it feel to finally have Messi back? I mean, not only is that going to make the team better, but I think confidence-wise, this team is going to get a nice boost.
100%. Yeah. I mean, Inter Miami, all of the players, Tata Martino deserves a lot of credit. Chris Henderson and putting together the squad deserves a lot of credit because, it's been about the final was the 21st, I think, of July, right? The Copa America final. And so it's been about 8 weeks since it happened, just kind of like what they predicted, the timeline they predicted. And we weren't sure what we were going to get out of Inter Miami at that point. We were first in at the East at that point, but we didn't know what it was going to look like. And wow, over these whatever amount of weeks, with some breaks here and there, they have been a consistent, dominant team. After that big loss to Cincinnati, they could have kept crumbling. They could have, been like, let's just tread water. And when Messi comes back, we'll make a push for the playoffs and we'll do what we have to do. They have been playing lights out. Every single player has been incredible. Obviously a few ups and downs here and there, but really just solid performances and deserve a ton of credit. And now, Messi's back and that can't hurt anyone. I've never heard someone say, oh no, Messi's gonna start. Damn, that really stinks for us. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a big boost. And look, especially when we're getting into the playoffs and we're getting into this team has lofty ambitions. Obviously with Leagues Cup, it ended earlier than we would have liked. We didn't do the why am I forgetting the name of the other tournament? Please remind me. The US Open Cup. We didn't participate in this year. CONCACAF Champions Cup obviously ended earlier than we would have liked. But Inter Miami still has lofty ambitions to win the MLS Cup and the Supporter Shield. And then you're starting to get into single elimination matches. You're getting into, it's win or go home. And that's when you want to have the greatest player of all time on your side and ready to go. And so it's the perfect time for him to get back, ramping up as we get closer to the playoffs. And, look, I think it's fair to say that obviously Inter Miami and MLS as a whole entity would have wanted to see Messi play a little bit more this season. I think we all did. And to be honest, I think he did too. I don't think this obviously wasn't part of the plan, but injuries happen. It's part of the game. We knew him going to Copa America, and obviously no one plays harder for their country than he does. Like, it was always a risk. And so the way MLS has done their marketing, their way everything's been gone, it surrounds Messi. And so when he doesn't play half of the season or a little less than half, it doesn't look great. But he's going to play the rest of the season, injury aside. He's going to play the rest of the season. He's going to hopefully take this team to a championship. And he's playing the very minimum next season too, without there being any international tournaments or things like that. So yeah, I think it's only going up from here.
Agreed. I mean, the last time that Messi played was June 1st. Since then, we had 9 games, of which we won 8. Yeah. That is just incredible. Incredible. We won 8 of 9 games.
And it's crazy that it's been 3 months. It hasn't felt like 3 months.
No, it hasn't felt it. But I think, why it hasn't felt it also? Because of the fact that the team's been playing so well. I think we would have felt like this is the longest amount of time ever if we were losing and playing poorly. But the fact that this team has been playing so well, again, winning 8 of 9 games since his last game, June 1st, really made it enjoyable to watch this team play. You also saw a lot of people elevate their game. We saw, I think, some players really find new roles on this team that maybe we weren't aware that was maybe their strong suit. I think for me, right off of the bat, is going to be Gressel on the right wing. Yeah. I didn't know we needed that. Gressel on the right wing has probably been one of the biggest things that to me has really stood out. Is he played in the midfield, and there was questions about him, but the moment he moved to that right wing, holy cow, it really, I think it really spoke to his game, and he felt very comfortable there, and that's been really great for him as well.
Experience,
yeah. So, we've seen that. We've seen Redondo play with Gomez and Matias Rojas and all these guys get more minutes than they would have without Messi, and I think that. Or with Messi in the team. And I think that really this team is playing great. And that also speaks to, like, when Messi comes back, okay, some of these guys might lose their minutes. But I think that where they might lose their minutes, that doesn't mean entirely they're going to be probably get good amount of minutes as substitutes. But it's like it was like a nice prep getting into the playoffs where they were able to get in rhythm. They're able to gain confidence, because you don't want, some of these guys where maybe you get very, very limited minutes and you get to playoffs and it's almost like they don't have that boost of confidence. They're just coming into the game not with a lot of experience and playing time. So I think sometimes there's some of these things are like a blessing in disguise, right? So you got to look at the positive, look at the cup half full instead of half empty. So at the end of the day, Messi got injured. This team learned how to play without him. They got better. They gained confidence. I think the coaching has improved. Obviously, there's, some things here that we can nitpick, maybe some of the timing of the substitutions and that sort of thing. But I think that Tata Martino has now found a way to not only play like a 4-3-3, but that weird, 3-5-2. Like, he's found a way to make that work. So I think that now he's got a bigger playbook when he gets into the playoffs. So, and now you've got the best player in the world coming back to your team. So all in all, to me, like, I'm looking at from a positive point of view. I think this team has grown over the last since June 1st, since Messi's departure, and I'm sure that Messi's very anxious to get back. So I'm very excited for what's to come.
Agreed. For the team. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's really the biggest point too, is like learning how to win and how to play without Messi. Because if there was any criticism of the Inter Miami team for the first half of the season, or just, over since last July, it's that the model was have Messi save a day every single game and fix everything and be a superhuman. And he is, and he can do that. But now, like to your point, the confidence where not only does Messi feel comfortable, I'm sure, even more so now, giving the pass, setting up people, knowing they'll be in the right position, but the players feel the same confidence in playing with him, because it's there's a mental aspect to playing with the greatest of all time. There's a mental aspect knowing the world is watching, the world wants to see you make mistakes, the world, so I think it was beneficial for everyone. And Messi's a very, he's not a disingenuous person. He didn't avoid playing. He wants to play. He wants to be there with his teammates. He wants to help everyone win and be healthy. And so I think we're going to get that now. And it's really exciting. I think later on in the week, we're going to do, like I said, an official preview for Saturday's match. We promise we're back. No more. We are for sure going to be doing a preview episode. So we're not going to get too much into like who we think will be maybe sacrificed in the starting lineup, what that'll look like. We'll get to that later in the week. But just overall, it's a good thing. It's an exciting thing. This team has played really well. And hopefully when they win the Supporters' Shield, it will 100% be a team effort where, every single player on that roster contributed highly to winning it. And it should feel like a really big accomplishment. So that's really exciting.
No, of course. And I think that also one of the things that we look at during this time, I think, for Inter Miami without Messi, is the fact that we've also had, I think, some favorable results on the other side of some of these teams that were, right in the race with us. Cincinnati, I mean, they won their last game, but they lost against us the previous game. And then I think the one before that, they had actually lost against Philadelphia. So that helped us out a lot. And then you've got Columbus also.
City, right?
Yeah, Columbus also, that was in the hunt, who supposedly, Tata sees as one of the best teams in MLS. I think that has also shown that, they've been doing very well, but they just lost against Seattle, 4-0, mind you. So 4-0 against Seattle, LA and LAFC, the two top teams on the other side, I believe, also didn't do so well as of late. Maybe their last game or so, they one of them lost. I'm trying to look it up now as we speak to see if I can see this. Let's look at LA and LAFC. So LA, actually, let's see right here.
And LAFC now also has Hugo Lloris and Olivier Giroud.
Exactly, yeah. And they lost. They lost against St. Louis, their last game, and they lost against Seattle 2 games before that. So again, a lot of these teams at the same time, while we're playing well, some of these other teams have regressed, who were our biggest adversaries and our biggest risk of losing the Supporters' Shield. So I think that all in that, man, it's like everything's worked out great for Inter Miami, really, if you think about it. So that's exciting for us. And then we've got a game coming up this Saturday, which is going to be a big game. Hopefully Messi plays. We're definitely going to be there. So I'm excited for that. It's been a while since I've been to a home game.
Oh my God, me
a couple weeks now. So that's going to be exciting. I know we're not doing a preview yet, so I don't want to get too into it, but I guess I'll just speak to where this team stands just so we can do it. And then we'll obviously do a deeper dive like we usually do on the preview games. But let's see. For Inter Miami, let's look.
They're first.
They're first, yes. They're going to be playing against Philadelphia, who Philadelphia actually where's Philadelphia right now? They're actually in 11th place right now. So they're in 11th.
But you know what? They're having a little bit of an uptick though, because I remember they started the season really poorly, and they've they've started to build some results. Let's not get too much into it. We don't want to spoil our next episode, but I think it'll be it's not just 1 versus 11. I think it's a game that more than just meets the eye. And like we said, doesn't matter who's playing. Every team that plays Inter Miami gives their best, which makes it fun. But
yeah, no, 100%.
Makes it not always that easy.
Yeah, so let's not get too into it. But it's 1 versus 11 against Philadelphia. We always know that anytime we've said it's going to be an easy game, it tends to not be. So I'm actually going to stay away from anything that says it's going to be an easy game. So we'll talk about that on another episode. I think that it's been kind of fun just talking here and just chatting about Inter Miami. I'm not sure, Ash, if there was anything else you wanted to touch on, but I think that just for fun, like, as we were talking about this team and how they've done so well in the absence of Messi and how players have stepped up, is there any player, I guess, that you can pinpoint that you're like, wow, this is the one that for me, I think I've been the most impressed with, as they've been on this run of winning 8 of 9 without Messi? And there's a few. I mean, you can pick any.
The truth is, there is a few. There's definitely a few, and I think there's a lot of good answers. My answer is, I don't think it's going to surprise you, but I don't think it's going to be what you think I'm going to say.
Okay.
That was a tongue twister, but okay. It's Sergio Busquets, and let me say why. Is that what you said? You're like, you don't expect me, but you understand now that I've said it. You're like,
I know
okay.
I didn't expect it just because of the fact that Sergio's like, it's expected.
Right.
But, like, he's one of the top guys, the leaders of this team, but I know where you're going to go. Like, I understand why you're going to say it.
Because I still think even to this day, even though he's going to go down as maybe top 3 or 4 to ever play his position, he's still underappreciated. And in this team, what he's had to do is, first of all, like every formation or every game, especially without Messi, when sometimes you don't have Mateo Rojas, when we've had red cards in the defense, when we've had red cards in the midfield, it doesn't matter. Sergio Busquets, especially over these last 9 games, has played probably 6 of 11 outfield positions throughout the game, and like great at all of them. He's played every defensive role. He's played every midfield role, and he's done a few assists and gotten created chances. The only thing he hasn't done is played in goal. But if you asked him to, he would. He's one of the players similar to Alba, similar to Suarez, in the sense that, there's a lot of young players. There's games where there's ups and downs. You don't have Messi to lean on. You don't have, X, Y, and Z to lean on. Sergio Busquets will not only make sure he is in the right place, but every player around him is in the right place and in a position to succeed. He puts everyone in a position to succeed. He will clean up and sweep everything that happens so that every other player can go and do what they have to do. It is unbelievable. Even at this age, after this many years, he really just does it at such a high level. And then it was another example. Like he's in, I think, MLS best 11 of the season. And it's just, he deserves credit for being the player that was needed during this stretch and through the whole season. So that's my player.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I knew exactly where you were going to go with that. Again, I didn't expect it, again, because it's just, you always expect that from him. But the fact that he's done all of that, I wonder how this Inter Miami team would have moved forward if he wasn't on this team. The fact that he
wouldn't have made it close, and that's how you know it's an important player.
I think that we might be looking at maybe not 8 of 9 games won if he wasn't on this roster. He just, I mean, more than any player. I think I was going to name someone else, and I still will. But I think the most important is who you just said, Busquets, for all the reasons you just mentioned. For me, I think one of the most important players is going to be, let's see. I
know who you're between two.
Okay, no, yeah, sorry. I had like a brain fart, but no. So for me, it's going to be Yannick Bright. For me, it's Yannick Bright.
That's a great answer. I would have been my second.
I mean, he's one of those that you're going to look back and be like, okay,
Rolls
he
Royce.
probably wasn't supposed to get, because similar to the stories of last season with guys like Benjamin Kramaski, and guys like David Ruiz who got extended minutes where they maybe a couple of years before they were supposed to. I think for me, that's going to be like the Yannick Bright story. Yannick Bright has gotten more minutes than was probably planned for him so early on in his career, right?
Probably for the next
And
2 years.
yeah,
Earlier.
probably,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's gonna be, you're gonna look back at that, and this guy, we'll see how long he's with us, because to me, he's European level, and I don't know how you guys, the listeners, are gonna feel about this. Feel free to comment on the link when we tweet this out. Our episode, but to me, this guy's like European level. His strength, his agility, how fast he is, the way he's able to me, I think one of the things that have stood out the most is his ability to read plays defensively. Like, he knows
Like
where a pass
Busquets,
is going to go. He puts himself in the right spots. He never gives up. Like that one, I'm remembering like that one goal where he recovered a ball defensively, and I think he put it into Alfonso. Was that the one?
You're talking about against Philadelphia when
Yeah,
it was
right.
the nine players. Yeah.
Yeah, that was with him, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like that. Like, that's the type of play that you only dream of, especially from a young guy coming. Like,
A rookie,
he's still maturing. He's going to be so much better. And I think that he's really been a force in the midfield, disrupting. Like, we've talked about so many issues with our defense, and I think he's covered up a lot of those. I think he's covered up a lot of the defensive issues because he's disrupted so much in the midfield that he's also, I think, stopped the bleeding, in the sense of like, there's not a lot. He's cut down on the moments of the one-on-ones that our center backs would have to face early on in the season. I think he's cut that down a lot. And he has helped guys like Busquets and others be able to free up a bit more, to be able to focus on passing, running, creating plays, because they have the confidence to say, hey, I can move out of my spot or move up a little bit because I've got Yannick right behind me, and I know he's going to cover the space. I know I don't have to worry about that. So to me, he's been really one of the top guys here, obviously under Busquets, but he, for me, has been like a revelation, and I'm so happy to have him on our team. And I think, man, he's got a very bright future with us.
No pun intended.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Not to like sound like a talent scout, but I don't know if you remember in like March and April, I was saying Yannick Bright's insane.
Yeah, I do remember.
Remember, do you know the first time I ever said it? It was when they were playing Nua Old Boys in the final preseason game. Do you remember? I was at the game and I literally texted him. This was in February, just so everybody knows. February, I texted you and I said, Yannick Bright, the rookie, was so good. And he is, I think that's a great call. Easily in the conversation for the most important. And I would say this, like, he's so good that honestly, tomorrow, I think he could play for a team in the championship in England, like the right below the Premier League, like there's 20 teams in championship. I think he'd start for a championship team in England right now. And he could only go up. He is so good. He's a Rolls Royce of a defensive midfielder because he has the physique, which is half the battle, but he knows how to use his body. And it's like, he's been absolutely superb. I think it's going to be really interesting because he's probably potentially going to have some of his minutes and maybe even his starting spot sacrificed because Messi's back.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not deserved. It's not, if it was anyone else, really, like if it wasn't the greatest player of all time, you'd be like, nah, this is a conversation. I don't know if I want to take Yannick right out. I think you probably will see him taken out and Gressel move to the midfield. We don't know yet. It depends. Could be wrong. But
he's going to see plenty of minutes. I still think, like,
we've
spoken about this, Ash, where we were saying, like, it's obviously you miss a lot when you take if Busquets has to be subbed out or anything like that. But if for any reason Busquets has to be subbed out, I mean, you feel
back role.
Yeah, you feel confident with Yannick there. Yeah. Or if they decide to somehow pair Yannick with Busquets, which we haven't really seen too much of, that obviously would then allow Busquets to play make more and that sort of thing. So, but it's just to have him on this team, I think is amazing. What were you going to say? What were you going to say?
I was just going to say before we moved on quickly, because I think we have one more thing we want to go over before we go. I think it's really indicative of this team and this last 8 weeks and just the absolute 180 the team has taken, that both of our players is a defensive midfielder and not an offensive player.
That's a good point.
When you
That's a
think about
really
how
good
many
point.
goals we've scored and how, electric this team is and will continue to be, both of our best player is a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, it makes a
Tells
lot
you
of
a
sense.
lot.
It's 100%. So I'm going to let you take the last topic, but I
Mhm.
wanted to mention one thing before we move on. And just because I had mentioned him in one of these plays with Yannick, right? Leo Afonso, unfortunately, was injured, or is injured rather, and he had a sports hernia. He is actually underwent surgery, and he'll be out 2 to 3 months. So that's hopefully a speedy recovery for him. He's also one of the young guys that's been really great for us on the wing, as a wing player, very fast. He's had a lot of really fun moments
Great
for us so
memories,
far
yeah.
this season. So hopefully he gets back. And then on the other side, somebody that was out for a while, and there's been rumblings. I don't know if it's going to happen, but there's been rumblings that he might make his way back, depending how far we get into the playoffs. But what's his face?
Facundo Farias.
Yeah, Facundo Farias is finally on the field training with the team, and that is exciting, man. He is a guy that was set to be a starter on this team
Oh, yeah.
the entire season, and unfortunately, that ACL tear early on. He was expected to be out a very long time, but look, he's on the field, he's doing drills, and
Yep.
there's been some rumblings again that he might actually be able to play this season towards the end. Whereas the thought was that maybe he might not play this season at all. So that's also something to be on the lookout for, and I'm really excited because he's not only is he a great player, he's a great guy. Ashley and I have both had opportunities to speak to him walking around the
Really
stadium,
sweet. Yeah, he's
and
really
he's
sweet.
just a great guy. Loves to just chat with you. So hopefully he'll make it
You
onto
more
the
than
actual field.
me, but that's maybe just a language thing. But every time I've spoken to him, no, he's really super sweet, really nice, good guy,
Yeah,
and agreed. I mean, if he was playing also, I mean, he was someone that if he had played this full season, I'd bet I'd feel very comfortable saying he's in Europe next season. Now maybe
yeah,
that's a year more off, we'll see. But yeah, and look, when there's games where the games are tight and maybe if Inter Miami needs to score some goals towards the end, and they need to kind of give some options. You have some tired legs, especially with Leo Alfonso now out. You may see him as a second or third choice, last 10 minutes of the game if you need a spark and if he's up to the task. So, yeah, agreed.
100%.
There's people coming in and out. Obviously, we've made a couple signings that we've tweeted about and talked about. Backup goalkeeper that we obviously signed today, another previous teammate of Leo Messi. It's going to be really fun, and starting Thursday we'll really start to have to shuffle the deck and see who will be starting, who will be coming off the bench, what is Tata going to decide. It'll be interesting to see. But right before we go, last thing I want to talk about, we've talked a lot about the on the field players, right? But one thing that I want us to talk about quickly, because there's not too many crazy updates about it, and we probably won't for a while after this, is about not on the field, but where the field is going to be and what the field is going to be. And that
Clever,
is, of
clever.
course, that I'm working on my transitions. It's been a few months. Everyone take it easy on me. Is that Inter Miami made the big announcement sort of last week that the new Freedom Park, no, what is
Freedom
it?
Park, yeah.
Freedom Park Stadium. Sorry, I glitched there. The Freedom Park Stadium in Miami, near the Miami airport. I believe it's like a 25 to 30,000 seat capacity, huge park, golf course that's now going to have training fields. It's going to have hotels, shopping, just this absolute mammoth of a property for Inter Miami, and this new soccer hub is slated to open in 2026. And we've actually talked about it a few weeks ago, or not a few weeks, like one of our last episodes where we were like, we haven't heard about what's going to be happening. They were supposed to have broken ground, but it was going to open in 2025, and then we didn't hear anything, and then maybe it was going to be 2027, and we don't know exactly what it's going to be. But they made this big announcement basically saying like it's coming home, which is obviously funny when you think about it in terms of like Euro in England, how they always say it, but that the Inter Miami home stadium is going to be moving from Fort Lauderdale, which has been the temporary home, to the new home in downtown Miami in this beautiful big park, and is hopefully going to become one of the epicenters of soccer in the United States.
Yeah, I think for me that was just a big troll by Inter Miami. I mean, look. I thought they were changing the logo. They tweeted the logo without the
I
herring
thought it was going to
on
be a
it.
Messi contract extension, but I also thought
Yeah,
they
no.
wouldn't do that until he
It was
was
just a crazy
playing.
troll. It was
Yeah.
a crazy troll. Because, look, that anybody that drove by there or saw pictures of that location, and it looked like an empty beach with no water, just the sand part. Like we were like, okay, there's no way we're gonna be in that in 2025. That was pretty clear. Then when they announced the season tickets for 2025, they said that they were going to be playing in Chase Stadium for 2025. So that was abundantly clear that we were not going to be at Miami Freedom Park in 2025. So the fact that the huge announcement was to say that the park was opening in 2026 and not 2025, I think was a bit of a troll. But I will say, I guess, that I do like how they rolled it out, because they did a
I
lot
do
of
too,
fun
yeah.
things around Miami. They
Activation.
went to a lot of like breweries where they were doing pop-ups. They did pop-ups at different restaurants, at
One of
different
which I can
cafeterias.
see from my window. Like I'm
Oh,
looking at
really?
it right
Which
now.
one? Which one?
Well, I don't want to tell people where I live, but I'll tell you after. Just I'm
That's
gonna
funny.
just I'll text it to you. But yeah, one of the places, which is a really cool spot, is
That's
yeah,
funny.
no, it
Okay.
was really cool how they did activations all across the city and wanted to involve the community and all that stuff. It was, I
Yeah.
agreed, 100%.
So yeah, they did a great job with that. So I think that was really fun, and it was cool to see through all of these different like pictures on social media and
Yeah.
videos how a lot of people turned out and they were having fun. A lot of free merch and free things and contests and all that.
Yeah.
They basically, I think it was called like turn Miami pink, or the city
Yeah,
pink,
yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that was really cool. So I think that where they trolled all of us, at least they did something cool at the end. So that was neat. But we finally have a date. Like there's no more wondering and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. We finally have a date. 25,000 people. It's going to be fun. They released a few new renderings. It just looks super modern,
Super
and
cool.
I mean, it just really looks
Great
beautiful.
for the community.
Great for the community. I know that part of the thing that people were kind of worried about in that area where it's going to be was the traffic, but now we also have apparently plans for
Right.
to
Yeah.
alleviate traffic. I don't know if it's like a bridge or some sort of a causeway or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
around
yeah.
there, but it's just a lot of development is going to happen in that area, so that's really exciting for us.
It's a lot
And
of
then
jobs. It's great for the community. It's great for
yeah,
young people. It's great for, kids and everywhere. They're creating a bunch of feeder programs to, get kids playing soccer and training them. The Inter Miami Academy has a lot of right now, even our first team players who started as homegrown talents,
yeah,
Benjamin Kremaski, David Ruiz, many players who have played and who have done, Ian Frey, who are excellent
yeah,
players and shows the potential of this. So yeah, it's going to be really exciting. And I will say this, look, this is really speculating, and so we really don't know until we know. I think everyone's goal, including Inter Miami, Jorge Mas, down to us,
mm-hmm.
is the idea that they want Messi to be there to play in the inaugural season at the stadium. I think the
Yeah,
goal is, and I think it's probably Messi's goal too, as long as he, no more injuries that are of this scale and he continues to be able to moderately kind of finish, is that I think the goal is that he finishes at the 2026 World Cup, which is taking place in the United
yeah,
States, summer 2026. I think the goal is for him to, at the end of the season, sign a 2-year extension, to have the contract expire at the end of 2026, to be able to open the new stadium in hopefully March 2026, and be there to really be that kind of final transition, right? Of putting Inter Miami as this not only global team, but this epicenter of soccer in Florida. And it's far away and we don't know what's going to happen. Life happens, life changes. But, 7 weeks ago, he was in the final for an international tournament, arguably one of the best players of the tournament, was going to play the whole 90 minutes, would, hopefully probably would have helped them win, even though they won already. He's still, he's in most people's starting 11 in the world. So it feels like he has the talent and he has the level in him. If he wants to do 2 more years, it's just going to be a matter if he does. But maybe them creating the date and creating the campaign and everything was kind of signaling like, that's our hope, right? Is that's where we really get to like start and end with a bang.
Yeah, agreed. That's definitely the hope. All of us to see Messi in a new stadium, and I think it's all set up for him to do that if he chooses to. Obviously, the way his contract is set up is going to run through 2025, and then he has an option to extend for another 12 months. That would be for 2026. So I think that if he still feels fit, he's living a great life here. He's enjoying himself. He's got way more freedom than he had anywhere else. He's not going to go to Argentina to go live over there. I'm like 99.9% sure of that.
From a
His
safety
kids
standpoint,
are here.
even he's like the most famous person,
billion. He's got his kids here in the academies. His kids are loving it. His wife is loving it. I think this is a place that if he is physically ready and mentally there to play, I think he's going to extend those 12 months and he'll be here in 2026, especially to the point that you said, if he wants to make it to that 2026 World Cup, he wants to make sure he stays in shape, and what better place to do it in his home that he now loves. So here's fingers crossed that it does happen.
Fingers crossed. We need a job for the next few years. No, I'm kidding.
But we have the date, 2026. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. Inter Miami will play in Miami. So that's great.
And hopefully we'll both be there to watch. It's really exciting. And it just goes back to like, this club started 2019, right? Is when they had their inaugural game. And then there was COVID and there was this little club that we weren't sure about. They didn't know what was going to happen. It was David Beckham in a dream, and it's going to turn into this global phenomenon. And it's just, for people like us who love soccer so much, who love Messi so much, played it our whole lives. It's really awesome, exciting to see, and we're hoping to have this journey continue. So with that in mind, we're back, and we are really excited to see how the rest of the season unfolds. Hopefully, starting with a healthy Lionel Messi back in Inter Miami pink this Saturday night.
Yeah. Agreed. I am excited to be back. I missed you guys. I really did. I missed talking Inter Miami. And
did you miss me?
Kind of. Okay. A little bit. Just a little bit.
A little bit.
No, but yeah, no, I missed you. I missed everybody. And honestly, this is a passion, just to talk about our team and really be able to share everything that we know. And I just would say, man, you guys got to comment. I love hearing the comments, reading the comments. Yeah. We'll try to respond. Make sure you get on the YouTube. Make sure you, whenever we tweet out the link, share it, like this video. That's really important for us. When you guys like the video, that just makes it be able to share more people all over YouTube. More people get to listen. We get more fans interacting. So that's always fun. But we really appreciate you guys. We are so happy to be back. So we'll catch you guys later this week. Be on the lookout. This episode right now will probably be out. It'll be out soon. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you also follow 5 Reasons Sports YouTube.
No, keep going. You're cooking.
Make sure you guys follow the 5 Reasons YouTube, because that's where we post all of our stuff. You guys will get the noties. That way you guys can watch it as soon as it comes out.
The noties?
The noties, notifications.
We're so back.
But yeah. I felt like I said it all. You got anything to say before we head out?
You killed it. You said it all. We're super excited to be back. Comment who is your player of the last 8 games? Who's your MVP of the last 8 games? I'm curious to see what you guys think and what you think of our choices. But yeah, Gian said it. Thank you for watching this episode of Messi Co. I'm Ashley. That is Gian, and we'll see you next time.
Sign up for noties.